time for another episode of Drive and Chat. It's been a hot minute since I have done one of these. Been kind of busy, life. And so I have sat down at the computer and did some deep diving with using AI, specifically Google Gemini. Uh, and so it's used to pull straight from the headlines. So the first thing let's discuss is T-Rump Slush Fund broker deal through Blanche, which was his personal lawyer for the E.G. case and several others, but that was like the main one. So his personal lawyer, he appoints to be the temporary or whatever you want to call it, AG. Right? So that was the setup. And so, of course, so the plan was drop the lawsuit. That means it drops it from the docket of the court. And that way, and no judge is now, overseeing it or going to have to review it or whatever. So, because he dropped it. So as soon as he dropped it, it dropped off the docket. Then he brokered a deal with old Blanche or whatever. It's his deal, right? He said, "Hey man, we'll settle out. We'll give you 177 billion, right? You went to 10, and we will give your family tax immunity, so the IRS can come in and audit your taxes, your family's taxes, your business taxes, right? So that was the deal. Is there anything wrong with that? Do you see anything wrong with that?" It's a yes or no question. I don't care if you're Republican or MAGA or whatever. Is there anything wrong with that? I don't care what his intentions are to use the money for. It was how the money was acquired. All right? You got to really look at that. I don't give a crap. Weaponization, whatever. It's people he pardoned already, so I mean the whole thing's a stupid scam. So this guy is all about money. He's always been all about money. He can't get enough of money. So when he gets access to the U.S. Treasury in that specific fund, he's going to figure out a way to get to that fund, and did. He did. He did a pretty good job. Figured it out. And so, of course, the legislators are like fit to be tied. I mean, they are like up in arms. Like, whoa, you can't broker a deal with yourself. That's called self-dealing, right? But this is what this guy does. And so he's been self-dealing since he got into office. And so we really honestly don't know how much money he has made since he's been in office this time. He doesn't have to disclose it. You would think the presidency would be a transparent position, right? That way they could check and balance the guy and make sure he's on the up and up. But he said he doesn't have to. And then nobody checks him on it. So here we are. We're living in a country where the president has immunity. Okay? Then he doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to do. He doesn't have nothing to do it. Even though the Constitution says he has to, he still doesn't do it. So, but who's going to check him on it? Because he's the president. See, he figured that out. Him and MAGA, white Christian nationalists, and the Heritage Foundation via the Project 2025, they figured that out. So they did a pretty good job. I mean, they did their due diligence, and they figured out how to do things. I call it the blitz, right? So the blitz is when you just do something and you do it quickly. And so by the time that it catches up through the court system and say, no, you can't do that. Well, guess what? It's already done. And they've already moved on to the next target. And so they figured that out too. So if they just do blitz, a judge calls them before the court or whatever, And they say, it's already done. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, the department has already been unraveled and disbanded. And the reason I reference that is that he put a lot of these departments on review when he got in office this time. You could put them on a 90-day review. That means he froze their funds for 90 days, which is illegal. It's unconstitutional. Uh, and it was actually an act that was passed through Congress in, I believe, 1972 or 74, because Nixon did it, right? He started starving departments that he didn't like of funding. So they put in an act and said, no, you can't do that. So within 45 days, he has to put in a thing to Congress saying, here's my intentions or whatever. And then they can either say no and start the funding again or whatever. But they got 45 days. So he decided he would do a 90-day review, which circumvented the act. I didn't think you could circumvent the act, but he did. And so that's how a lot of these departments got defunded and then just dissolved, because he put them under a 90-day review. They defunded it. The people got furloughed or put on leave or, whatever. And then they just never got called back because the department, there was no money. So they figured that out too. So they didn't like a department, USA, whatever it was. They just put it under a 90-day review and then they stopped funding it. Even though Congress holds the purse strings, the executive branch has figured out a way Congress has figured out a way. No, the executive branch has figured out. That person almost came right into my lane. Figured out a way just to get around Congress. Oh my gosh! So they really did their due diligence. They did their research. They did their homework, and they figured out how to do it. And so that's what is being applied today. Pretty much everything that's going on in our country right now is the executive branch, and the legislative branch is doing literally nothing because the GOP's got it all tied up. So they just passed a $70 billion funding for ICE, no restrictions. There you go. Here's 70 billion of taxpayer money, no restrictions. And oh, by the way, you don't have to account for anything. There's no transparency. So they're of course they're funding the prison camps and all that business. So the whole thing is a freaking nightmare. Like I didn't think it would ever, 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 ever happen in our country. Right? I've told you guys this before. I've been all over the world. I've seen some crazy, crazy stuff. And it was expected because you're in a third world country and that's just how their regime operated, right? That was expected. But when it's happening here in your own country, which is the greatest country on earth, right? So you advertise. So they advertise. Greatest country on earth. I don't even think we're number one anymore as far as the civil rights and freedoms and all that stuff. I believe we're like down around the 14th. So the greatest nation on earth is now only ranked 14th. And that's because of the current regime, right? And so I say regime because I have witnessed regime, right? And so I recognize it. You can't drape it in the American flag. You can't hide it saying make America great again when your core is a regime. That's your base. Like, we're taking this thing over. We figured out how to get our hands on the money without commerce. And so, yeah, here we are, man. Oh, by the way, it is Sunday. It's my day of rest. I figured I would get this one out before I just relax for the rest of the day. I'm out.